The whispers started quietly, but now they are impossible to ignore. Amazon executives are reportedly distancing themselves from Meghan Markle, and the fallout could spell disaster for the Duchess of Sussex's already crumbling Hollywood dreams. Just when you thought things could not get worse for Meghan and Harry, a new catastrophe has emerged, one that involves billionaire Jeff Bezos, his wife Lauren Sanchez, and a disastrous gamble that is backfiring spectacularly. Sources close to the situation claim that Amazon MGM Studios is having serious second thoughts about their association with the Duchess. This comes on the heels of the infamous Kardashian party debacle, where Meghan's desperate attempt to cozy up to Bezos ended in humiliation. The question everyone in Hollywood is asking right now is simple. Why would Meghan burn her bridges with Netflix while simultaneously chasing after Amazon? The answer might shock you, but it reveals everything about just how desperate the Sussexes have become. Let's be clear about what is happening here. Meghan is set to appear in an Amazon MGM production called Close Personal Friends, playing herself in what can only be described as the most bizarre casting decision of the year. But insiders are now claiming that Amazon executives are quietly pulling back, watching nervously as Meghan creates one public relations disaster after another. The Kardashian catastrophe was supposed to be her golden ticket, her chance to schmooze with Bezos and secure her place in his media empire. Instead, it turned into what the industry is calling Photogate, a scandal that left the Kardashians furious, Bezos and Lauren reportedly very upset, and Meghan looking more toxic than ever. The timing could not be worse. Netflix has already shown Meghan the door, refusing to feature her as-ever products in their Netflix house locations despite earlier promises. Her cooking show crashed and burned with viewership numbers so catastrophic that the platform will not even release the data. Season 2 did not make a single top 10 list anywhere in the world, not one. And now, just as she pivots desperately toward Amazon, that relationship appears to be imploding before it even begins. But here is what makes this story absolutely explosive. Industry insiders claim that Bezos himself is frustrated with the negative attention Meghan brings everywhere she goes. The Kardashian drama was the final straw, a tone-deaf disaster that unfolded while the rest of the royal family honored war dead. Meghan showed up at a glitzy party at Bezos' $164 million mansion, posed for photos with Kim Kardashian, and then allegedly demanded the images be scrubbed from social media. The Kardashians, who do not forgive easily, were left seething. Now Meghan faces a nightmare scenario. Netflix wants nothing to do with her. The Kardashians have frozen her out, and Amazon, the company she has been courting so aggressively, might be about to pull the plug. Before we dive deeper into the Amazon disaster, we need to talk about the Netflix catastrophe that nobody is addressing. Because what happened with Netflix is exactly why Meghan is now desperately chasing Jeff Bezos, and why that strategy is already falling apart. Here is what the mainstream media will not tell you. Netflix has quietly, systematically frozen Meghan Markle out. The evidence is everywhere if you know where to look. Remember when reports surfaced that as-ever products would be featured in Netflix house stores? Those glamorous new retail locations where fans could buy products from their favorite Netflix shows? Well, Meghan's jam and overpriced honey are nowhere to be found. Not a single jar, not one ridiculously expensive wooden crate, nothing. The product list for Netflix house locations has been released, and as ever is mysteriously absent. This is the same company that supposedly had a partnership with Meghan, the same platform that gave her With Love Meghan, a cooking show that was supposed to launch her lifestyle empire into the stratosphere. But here's the thing, that show absolutely tanked. We are talking about a collapse so catastrophic that Netflix will not even release the full viewership numbers. Let's talk about what we do know. Season 2 of With Love, Meghan did not make a single top 10 list. Not in the United States, not in the United Kingdom, not anywhere in the world. For context, even shows that barely register with audiences usually crack the top 10 somewhere. Meghan could not even manage that. Industry analysts have confirmed that viewership dropped by 4/5 between the first season trailer and the second season trailer. 4/5, people. That is not a dip. That is a free fall. Sources close to Netflix have been whispering for months that executives are done with the Sussexes. One insider told reporters that the return on investment has been absolutely dismal. Sure, the initial documentary generated some buzz, but everything since then has been a disappointment. Heart of Invictus, nobody watched. Polo, dead on arrival. And now with Love, Meghan has joined the graveyard of failed Sussex productions. But here is where it gets really interesting. While Netflix was quietly showing Meghan the door, she was already making her move toward Amazon. The Close Personal Friends cameo was not just a random opportunity. It was a calculated play. Meghan saw the writing on the wall at Netflix and decided to jump ship before she was pushed. She started courting Bezos, attending his parties, making connections, positioning herself as someone Amazon should invest in. The problem? Netflix noticed, and they were not happy about it. Multiple sources have suggested that Meghan's decision to appear in an Amazon MGM production, while still under contract with Netflix, was seen as the ultimate betrayal. It was disloyal, it was short-sighted, and it perfectly encapsulates why Meghan keeps burning bridges in Hollywood. She is so desperate for the next big deal that she cannot see how she is destroying her current relationships. Now we arrive at the event that may have torpedoed Meghan's entire Amazon strategy. Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, hosted by Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez at their $164 million Beverly Hills mansion. On the surface, this was supposed to be Meghan's moment, a chance to rub shoulders with Hollywood royalty, cement her relationship with Bezos, and prove she still belonged in the A-list. Instead, it turned into an unmitigated disaster that has left multiple powerful people furious. The party itself was spectacular, a James Bond-themed extravaganza attended by Beyoncé, Serena Williams, Paris Hilton, Justin Bieber, and basically everyone who matters in entertainment. Harry showed up in his best 007 tuxedo. Meghan arrived all smiles, posing for photos with Kim Kardashian, dancing near birthday girl Kris. The cameras were flashing. Everything seemed perfect, and then it all went sideways. Within hours of the party ending, every single image of Harry and Meghan disappeared from Kris and Kim's Instagram accounts. Vanished. Scrubbed completely. The Kardashians posted dozens of photos from the event, but the Sussexes were nowhere to be found. This was not an accident. This was deliberate, and the question that set Hollywood on fire was simple. Why? Two competing narratives emerged immediately. People magazine, widely known as Meghan's favorite mouthpiece, claimed that the Duchess herself demanded to be cut from the photos. She had apparently ticked the no box on the photo consent form and was annoyed when organizers ignored her wishes. But here is where that story falls apart. If you did not want to be photographed, why would you walk through the paparazzi line? Why would you pose ear-to-ear grinning with Kim Kardashian? The photos exist. We have seen them. Meghan was clearly happy to be photographed at the event. The second narrative is far more damaging. Multiple sources claim that the Kardashians made the decision to remove the Sussexes because they did not want to be associated with Harry and Meghan's increasing toxicity. Think about that for a second. The Kardashians, who have built an empire on publicity and will photograph anything and anyone, decided that being seen with Meghan Markle was bad for their brand. Industry insiders were quick to point out that this was a catastrophic misstep. One source told reporters, "You simply cannot ghost the Kardashians." Another added, "Kim does not do takebacks. If you show up to a Kardashian production, you are part of the machine." The message was clear. Meghan had made another Hollywood enemy, and unlike royals, Kardashians do not forgive easily. But the real casualty of Photogate was not Meghan's relationship with the Kardashians. It was her relationship with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, the very people she had come to impress. Let's talk about close personal friends. The Amazon MGM production that was supposed to be Meghan's big Hollywood comeback. This is the project that sparked her entire Bezos courtship strategy. This is why she showed up at that Kardashian party. This is the opportunity she thought would save her floundering career, and it might be the most bizarre casting decision Hollywood has seen in years. Here is what we know. Meghan Markle is playing herself, not a character inspired by her life, not a fictionalized version of a duchess. Herself. Let that sink in for a moment. An actress who has spent years complaining about media intrusion and lack of privacy has agreed to play Meghan Markle in a movie about Meghan Markle's life. The irony is almost too much to handle. But the casting choice reveals something far more troubling. It exposes just how limited Meghan's options have become. A real actress with genuine opportunities does not need to play herself in a vanity project. A real star gets offered actual roles with actual characters. The fact that Meghan jumped at the chance to portray herself on screen tells you everything you need to know about where her acting career actually stands. Nowhere. Industry insiders have been questioning this move since it was announced. One source close to the production reportedly said that Amazon executives were initially excited about having a connection to the royal family, but that enthusiasm has cooled considerably. The Kardashian disaster did not help, neither did the constant stream of negative press. And the more people learned about Meghan's history of difficult behavior on set, the more nervous Amazon became. Here's the truly problematic part. Meghan made this deal while still under contract with Netflix. Think about the optics for a second. Netflix gave the Sussexes millions of dollars. They produced multiple shows for her. They promoted her lifestyle brand, and in return, Meghan went behind their backs to make a movie with Netflix's biggest streaming competitor. That is not just disloyal, that is professional suicide. Multiple sources have confirmed that Netflix executives were blindsided by the Amazon announcement. They felt betrayed, they felt used, and they made it very clear that Meghan Markle would not be getting any more opportunities on their platform. The as-ever products being excluded from Netflix House suddenly makes a lot more sense, does not it? But here is the question nobody is asking. If Netflix dropped Meghan after she went to Amazon, what makes anyone think Amazon will not drop her after seeing how she treated Netflix? Hollywood is a small town. Everyone talks, everyone knows. And right now, everyone knows that Meghan Markle cannot be trusted. Rumors are already circulating that Amazon is quietly distancing itself from the project. That promotion plans are being scaled back. That executives are hoping close personal friends will just quietly disappear without too much fanfare. If you are starting to see a pattern here, you are not alone. Meghan Markle has a documented history of alienating powerful allies, and the Amazon situation is just the latest example in a long line of burned bridges. Let's walk through the carnage, shall we? Start with Oprah Winfrey. Remember when Meghan and Harry sat down for that explosive interview? Oprah was supposed to be their champion, their protector, their gateway to American acceptance. She attended their wedding. She promoted their projects. She gave them her platform and her credibility. And what did Meghan do with that relationship? She milked it dry. Now, years later, Oprah's support has noticeably diminished. She still makes occasional appearances at Meghan's events, but the enthusiasm is gone. The passion has evaporated. Even Oprah, it seems, has limits. Then there is Spotify. $20 million for exclusive podcast content. $20 million, and what did Spotify get in return? 12 episodes of Meghan talking about herself. That was it. The deal was quietly terminated, and a Spotify executive famously called Harry and Meghan grifters. Let that word sink in. Grifters. That is how one of the world's largest audio platforms described the Duke and Duchess of Sussex after working with them. But here is what makes Meghan truly impossible to work with. According to multiple Hollywood insiders, she cannot deal with reality. She gives false metrics. She lives in a fantasy world where everything she touches is successful, even when the numbers tell a completely different story. Industry sources claim she told Netflix that As Ever was a massive success, conveniently ignoring the fact that her products were not moving, and her viewership was in freefall. One former colleague described working with Meghan as an exercise in delusion management. She would insist that projects were performing well when they were clearly failing. She would blame others when things went wrong. She would refuse to accept constructive criticism. And most damaging of all, she would provide inaccurate information to executives, making it impossible for them to make informed business decisions. This is why the Amazon situation is so predictable. Meghan is repeating the exact same pattern. She overpromises, she underdelivers, she creates chaos, and then she moves on to the next opportunity before the current one completely implodes. It is a cycle that has defined her entire post-royal career. Royal commentators have pointed out that Meghan demonstrated this exact behavior within the royal family. She made promises she could not keep. She created drama where none needed to exist. She alienated staff members with her demands and her inability to accept that she was not in charge. Multiple employees left their positions. Bullying allegations surfaced. The palace conducted an investigation that they have never made public, which tells you everything you need to know about what they found. Now that same pattern is playing out in Hollywood, and the industry is finally catching on. Now we get to the part that should terrify Meghan Markle. Because according to multiple sources, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are not just disappointed by the Kardashian party disaster, they are reportedly very upset. And when you have upset one of the richest and most powerful men in the world, someone who controls a massive media empire, you have a serious problem. Let's understand what happened from their perspective. Jeff and Lauren opened their home, their $164 million mansion, to host an intimate celebration for one of Hollywood's most connected families. They invited the biggest names in entertainment. They created a spectacular James Bond-themed event, and then their guest Meghan Markle turned it into a public relations nightmare. The photo scandal put Bezos and Sanchez in an incredibly awkward position. On one side, you have the Kardashians, a family with enormous cultural influence and business power. On the other side, you have the Sussexes, who are supposed to be talent that Amazon has invested in through the close personal friends production. And now both sides are angry. Both sides are pointing fingers, and Jeff and Lauren are stuck in the middle of a mess they did not create. Sources claim that Bezos was particularly frustrated by how tone-deaf the entire situation appeared. While the British royal family was honoring war dead at solemn remembrance ceremonies, Meghan was partying at his mansion and creating drama over photographs. The optics could not have been worse. And for someone like Bezos, who carefully manages his public image, having his event become fodder for tabloid drama was absolutely unacceptable. But here is what makes this situation even more complicated. Amazon MGM Studios had already committed to the Close Personal Friends project before the Kardashian disaster. They had already invested money. They had already made production plans. And now they are watching their talent create chaos and alienate powerful allies, the exact same pattern that destroyed her relationships with Netflix and Spotify. Industry insiders claim that Amazon executives held emergency meetings after Photogate. They needed to assess whether continuing their association with Meghan Markle was worth the headache. Remember, this is a woman who has managed to burn bridges with virtually every major player she has worked with. Netflix is done with her. Spotify called her a grifter. The Kardashians have frozen her out, and now she has embarrassed Jeff Bezos at his own party. The question Amazon is reportedly asking is simple but devastating. If we move forward with this project, what is to stop Meghan from creating the same kind of drama that has defined every other professional relationship she has had? What is to stop her from making false promises, providing bad data, and then blaming everyone else when things go wrong? And most importantly, what happens when she inevitably jumps ship to the next opportunity, leaving Amazon holding the bag? While Meghan is busy chasing Amazon executives and alienating the Kardashians, her lifestyle brand is quietly imploding. As ever, the company that was supposed to make Meghan the next Gwyneth Paltrow is desperately slashing prices and begging customers to buy products that nobody wants. And the desperation is absolutely palpable. Let's look at the evidence. Free shipping on wine, discounted wooden crates, individual bottles now available after initially forcing customers to buy 3 at a time. These are not the moves of a successful brand. These are the panic decisions of a company watching inventory gather dust while the bills keep piling up. Meghan launched as ever with massive fanfare, celebrity endorsements, and a carefully crafted image of exclusivity. Now she is practically giving the stuff away. The wine situation is particularly telling. Initially, customers had to purchase 3 bottles at $90 total, $30 each. Now you can buy them individually, but Meghan bumped the price to $35 per bottle. So if you want to buy 3 bottles separately, you are paying $105 instead of $90. She is literally punishing customers for not buying in bulk, which is exactly the kind of short-sighted greed that alienates your customer base. And then there are the wooden crates. Meghan is now selling decorative pine boxes with the As Ever logo for $60. $60 for a wooden box. Let that sink in. You can get the entire wine package with the crate for $217, which means you are paying $60 just for the box. Who is buying this? Who looks at a pine crate with Meghan Markle's logo on it and thinks, yes, I absolutely need to spend $60 on that? But here is the most damaging part. Every single media mention of As Ever products is paid placement. Featured in Vogue, featured in Harper's Bazaar, featured in Town & Country, featured in Elle, featured in Good Housekeeping, featured on Oprah's Favorite Things. All of it is publicity that Meghan's team purchased. These are not organic endorsements. These are not publications genuinely excited about her products. This is legacy media taking Meghan's money in exchange for a brief mention. And it is not working. Because featuring products in magazines that nobody reads anymore does not translate to sales. Meghan is operating with a completely outdated understanding of how marketing works. She thinks that getting mentioned in Vogue will make people want to buy her overpriced honey. She thinks that appearing on Oprah's list will drive traffic to her website. But the reality is that legacy media is dead, and Meghan is throwing money at a strategy that stopped working a decade ago. The influencer space is where real sales happen now. But Meghan cannot succeed there because influencers require authenticity, and Meghan Markle is the least authentic person in Hollywood. Now we get to the part that should make Meghan absolutely panic. Because while she has been busy pretending everything is fine, sources inside Amazon have been talking, and what they are saying is absolutely brutal. Multiple insiders claim that Amazon executives are expressing serious concerns about toxic association. That phrase keeps coming up in conversations. Toxic association. They are watching what happened with Netflix. They are watching what happened with Spotify. They are watching the Kardashian disaster unfold in real time, and they are asking themselves a very simple question: do we really want to be next? One source allegedly close to the situation described the internal conversations as increasingly uncomfortable. Executives who were initially excited about having a duchess in their portfolio are now wondering if the royal connection is worth the constant drama. Because here is the thing about Meghan. She does not just create problems. She creates problems that become national news stories. She creates problems that embarrass everyone associated with her. The Close Personal Friends project is reportedly getting the same treatment that Netflix gave her final productions: quiet distancing, minimal promotion, a general hope that it will come and go without too much attention. Amazon learned from Netflix's mistakes, and the lesson was simple. Do not invest heavily in Meghan Markle. Do not put her front and center in your marketing. Do not tie your brand too closely to someone who could implode at any moment. There are whispers that Amazon is already planning their exit strategy. Not a dramatic cancellation that would generate headlines, but a slow fade. The movie gets a limited release, the promotion is minimal, and then everyone quietly moves on. It is the same playbook that Netflix used, and it works because it avoids the spectacle of a public breakup. But here is what makes this situation particularly interesting. Jeff Bezos has a personal connection to Meghan now. He hosted her at his home. His wife Lauren knows her. They have socialized. And in Hollywood, personal relationships usually protect you from professional consequences. Usually. But apparently not this time, because even Bezos' personal involvement is not enough to overcome the mountain of evidence that Meghan Markle is a liability. Industry analysts have pointed out that Amazon is in a unique position. They can watch what happened to every other company that worked with Meghan and learn from their mistakes. They can see how she overpromised to Netflix, how she underdelivered to Spotify, how she created chaos everywhere she went, and they can make the smart business decision to cut their losses before things get worse. Sources claim that Amazon executives are also concerned about Meghan's pattern of jumping ship. If she betrayed Netflix by making an Amazon movie, what is to stop her from betraying Amazon the moment a better offer comes along? The answer, of course, is nothing. The Amazon situation is not happening in a vacuum. What Meghan does not seem to understand is that burning this bridge could be the final nail in the coffin of her Hollywood ambitions, because the entertainment industry is watching, and they are taking notes. Let's be very clear about how Hollywood actually works. It is not about talent. It is not about who you know. It is about who trusts you. And right now, Meghan Markle has destroyed trust with virtually every major player in the industry. Netflix does not trust her. Spotify does not trust her. The Kardashians certainly do not trust her. And if Amazon publicly distances itself from her, that sends a message to every other studio, every other production company, every other potential partner. The message is simple: Meghan Markle is not worth the risk. The Kardashian connection is particularly devastating because it is not just about one family. The Kardashians are connected to everyone. They have relationships with every major brand, every streaming service, every production company in Hollywood. When you make an enemy of the Kardashians, you are not just losing one relationship. You are losing access to an entire network. Doors that were already closing are now slamming shut. Industry insiders have been remarkably candid about what is happening. One source told reporters that Meghan has made another Hollywood enemy at the worst possible time. Translation: she is running out of second chances. She is running out of people willing to take a gamble on her. She is running out of road. Other studios are absolutely watching the Amazon situation closely. They are waiting to see how this plays out. Because if Amazon, with all of Jeff Bezos' resources and connections, cannot make Meghan Markle work, then what chance does anyone else have? If close personal friends quietly disappears or gets buried with minimal promotion, that tells every other executive in town everything they need to know. But here is what makes this freeze-out particularly brutal. Meghan created this situation entirely by herself. She had every advantage. She married into the British royal family. She had global name recognition. She had Oprah's support. She had multi-million-dollar deals with the biggest platforms in entertainment. And she squandered all of it through a toxic combination of ego, delusion, and an apparent inability to maintain professional relationships. Royal commentators have pointed out that Meghan is experiencing the exact same isolation in Hollywood that she experienced in the royal family. She alienated the staff. She alienated the other royals. She created so much drama that the institution had no choice but to let her go. And now the same pattern is repeating in Los Angeles. Different industry, same results. The word that keeps coming up in conversations about Meghan is finished. Multiple sources are using that exact word. She is finished in Hollywood. So here we are. Netflix is done. Amazon is quietly distancing. The Kardashians are hostile. And Meghan Markle is running out of places to run. Let's bring all of these threads together and talk about what happens next, because the situation is genuinely unprecedented. Think about where the Sussexes were just a few years ago. They had everything. Multi-million-dollar deals with the biggest streaming platforms on earth. A lifestyle brand backed by Netflix. Celebrity friends, Hollywood connections. The whole world was watching to see what they would do next, and they blew it spectacularly. Netflix gave them chance after chance. They produced Harry and Meghan. They produced Heart of Invictus. They produced Polo. They gave Meghan with love, Meghan, and promoted her as ever brand. And in return, Meghan delivered catastrophic viewership numbers and then went behind their backs to make a movie with their biggest competitor. That is not just burning a bridge, that is blowing up the entire highway. Now Amazon is watching that same pattern unfold before the relationship even really begins. They see how Meghan operates. They see how she creates chaos. They see how she makes promises she cannot keep and provides metrics that have no basis in reality. And they are making the very smart decision to protect themselves before it is too late. But here is the question that should terrify Harry and Meghan. When all the doors close, what do? Without Netflix, without Amazon, without the Kardashian network, without Hollywood legitimacy, what is left? They cannot go back to the royal family. That bridge is not just burned, it is incinerated. William has frozen them out. Catherine wants nothing to do with them. King Charles has moved on. There is no reconciliation coming. So what is the plan? More lawsuits against tabloids? More interviews where they play the victim? More desperate attempts to stay relevant by creating drama? Because that strategy has a shelf life, and they are approaching the expiration date very quickly. Industry insiders are already speculating about where the Sussexes end up. Some think they will retreat from public life entirely, admitting defeat without actually saying the words. Others think Meghan will keep chasing increasingly smaller opportunities until she is completely irrelevant. A few even suggest she might try to pivot back toward the royal family, though that seems almost impossible at this point. The reality is that Meghan Markle is experiencing the consequences of her own choices. She chose to alienate everyone who tried to help her. She chose to burn professional relationships. She chose to prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability. And now she is discovering that Hollywood, like the royal family, has limits. Eventually, the drama becomes too much, the chaos becomes too exhausting, and the doors start closing, one by one by one. So what do you think? Is Meghan Markle truly finished in Hollywood, or does she still have one more comeback left in her? Will Amazon cut ties completely, or will Jeff Bezos' personal connections save her career? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this unfolding disaster, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Trust me, the next chapter of the Sussex saga is coming, and you won't believe what happens next.